Thank you, President. I'm now going to open the floor if there are any particular interventions from the other delegations at this stage, before asking my colleague, Dr. Mayaki, also to say something about energy and the projects that we have within PIDA. But in relation to agriculture, how can they benefit agriculture so much and indirectly contribute to the agenda of today? So let me just see whether there are any requests for the floor. Yes, Ethiopia. Minister, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And it is a pleasure to also listen the experiences and the way forward on the mechanism and means of tackling hunger. Basically, the starting point for addressing the hunger is to really understand the root causes of the problem. Unless we really understand why and how it happens, and also that will give us a real understanding on the strategies to tackle the real cause of the reason. For instance, in Ethiopia, the main reason for issue of hunger and food insecurity is basically the degradation of natural resource, which is linked to the failure of agriculture, which actually is also a result of the failure of policies, a failure of underinvestment for a very long time, so that it is accumulation of the worsening of the situation, so that unless we really understand the problem, it will be very, very difficult. When we really start to address a problem, basically there needs to be a commitment. And a commitment, particularly in such condition of complicated and highly deep-rooted problem, basically the commitment has to be sustainable. It needs a comprehensive policy and a comprehensive strategy that is also having a time to actually generate outcome and output. The main reason and the way forward is what are we doing, and do we have the mechanism, and is it only a commitment or a declaration that we have, or do we have the instruments and institutional setup so that we can translate? Therefore, government has to be strong, has to take a leadership, and then that will mobilize all the resources. The last comment that I would like to say is on, particularly on civil society. Basically, in our countries, the beneficiaries and the owners of the development intervention are citizens. Therefore, civil society in our countries are organized societies, organized citizens. If they are organized, then they are part of the civil society. Therefore, it is nothing different, but citizen in an organized manner. Therefore, if we really participate, empower, and discuss, and therefore there is a strong ownership in all development interventions, basically that will reward, and at the same time that will really accelerate its implementation and in our reward of our investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. Now I turn to Dr. Mayaki, because as head of the NEPAD agency, he can illustrate some of the projects that have a continent-wide impact that are part of the PIDA portfolio. A lot of them focusing on infrastructure, including energy, that was mentioned by President Lula as a key element in the equation of transformation. And I think the progress in this front is better than many suspect. And I think it will be interesting for us to just have an insight from Dr. Mayaki on where we are on this agenda.
Merci, Monsieur Lopez. Je voudrais commencer par donner deux chiffres simples. Le premier, c'est que la moyenne du nombre cumulé de coupures d'électricité en termes de jours est évaluée au niveau du continent à 56 jours. Donc sur une année, en moyenne, nous avons 56 jours sans électricité, dû aux coupures. Et cela est l'équivalent d'à peu près 2% du produit intérieur brut. Deuxième chiffre, moins de 7% de nos populations en milieu rural ont accès à l'énergie moderne. Ce qui veut dire très simplement que pour ce qui concerne les 93%, conserver les vaccins est un problème. Donc les campagnes de vaccination sont compromises. La lecture par les écoliers est un problème. Ce qui veut dire que ça a des conséquences sur l'éducation. Et nous savons que l'énergie est le principal facteur, un des principaux facteurs de la productivité agricole. Donc cela a une conséquence sur la productivité agricole. Alors face à cela, ce que le PIDA a fait, c'est 3 choses. La première, c'est se mettre d'accord sur le fait que la solution des problèmes énergétiques de l'Afrique n'est pas au niveau national. Aucun de nos pays pris individuellement ne peut résoudre la question énergétique. Les solutions optimales sont au niveau régional. Et c'est pour cela que le PIDA, dans son processus de construction, a travaillé de manière très serrée avec les commissions économiques régionales pour qu'on ait une prioritisation des projets essentiels en Afrique australe, en Afrique de l'Est, en Afrique centrale, en Afrique du Nord et en Afrique de l'Ouest. Donc aujourd'hui, nous avons dans le pipeline des projets prioritaires du PIDA une 50aine de projets qui sont à des niveaux différents de maturité, mais dont une bonne dizaine sont déjà prêts et mûrs pour être financés à travers des mécanismes de partenariat public-privé. Alors ça, ce sont des projets qui peuvent être hydroélectriques, qui peuvent être basés sur le thermal, qui ont toute la diversité des gammes technologiques possibles. L'autre question de fond et qui est absolument importante, c'est la question de l'énergie renouvelable et de la bioénergie. Et là, je crois que nous avons un enseignement à tirer de ce qui s'est fait au Brésil. Parce que nos paysans, en général en milieu rural, they generally use the biomass, and by using the biomass, well, it has a direct influence on issues like desertification. So we cannot use the biomass intelligently. And this is why the role of the state in shaping sound renewable policy and energy policies is extremely important. And in several African countries, this issue has been taken up. One of the core elements of the debate is will bioenergy production not affect food production? Well, Brazil is a good example because Brazil is the second world food producer, and Brazil uses bioenergy at a local level in order to boost its agricultural productivity. So that issue of renewable energy and looking at bioenergy in an intelligent manner so that it is locally managed by communities and that the managerial systems that allow that local control are set up is really an important lesson that we can learn from Brazil. Brazil has used also bioenergy and ethanol for transport reasons. I don't think we are yet at the level of using it for transport, even if there are some experiences which have started, notably in South Africa. But in order to boost agricultural productivity, I am among the ones who are convinced that the intelligent use of bioenergy can be a real factor of boosting productivity.
Thank you. You did the job. It was exactly what I wanted. I'm going to close, and in doing so, I want to really retain from this discussion 3 points that are very important for us as we look forward in the implementation of this ambitious agenda. First point, what we have witnessed in terms of performance is not a failure of weather, it's a failure of policies. We have now enough knowledge to be able to compensate the failures of weather with good policies. And I think the demonstration has been presented in many ways, including the fact that we need a budget for the poor. We need to target hunger as a political objective. We need to address undernutrition as a political objective because of its economic implications as much as its human implications. That has been demonstrated. The second point, half of the African population is in agriculture, which means that we are talking about a sizable portion of the workforce, and also in some countries going all the way to 75%, in fact, a sizable portion of those who contribute to the wealth of the continent. And yet, we all admit, and the facts prove it, that we have the lowest productivity in the world, and we have also some of the best resources unused in this area in the world, including 60% of non-used arable land in the world. So we need to turn this around and transform it into an opportunity. And this is very much the center and the focus of the discussion that we are having. The third element is that we have the youngest continent, but also getting younger and younger. And if we are going to provide an opportunity for the youth to engage in economic activities relating to agriculture, we'll have to go one route. And that route has been spelled out in detail in the previous panel. It's agribusiness, because we need to create modern jobs, and those are the jobs that can mobilize and incentivize the youth to adhere to agriculture and contribute to the transformation that we are all looking forward. And finally, if we are going to be able to address these 3 important challenges that I just lined up, it is very clear that we are not going to be able to do it without what has been termed political commitment. And this is the objective of this panel, or this was the objective of this panel, and I hope that the discussion has provided insights on how we can really renew our political commitment. Thank you.